Alrighty, welcome back to another episode of Let's Get At It. Today I am here with another Michigan alum, Jake Sadow, now a national champ, not just in football, but in basketball. He is the co-founder, with somebody that I actually went to high school with, Jason O'Bricky, but I'm actually talking to the other co-founder, someone who has an absolute stature of nature. He is broader than a door frame. He is tall, he is strong, he's handsome, and he has built a creatine protein bar that isn't chalky, it isn't garbage, it tastes like a brownie, and it is the one-way ticket to getting absolutely jacked. Jake, thank you so much for joining us today.
True. I've never had a better intro in my life. I love it. Nothing's ever gonna live up to it. And yeah, go blue. It feels good to be on top. Coming off that natty win. We're all on highs.
Yeah, absolutely. Even though right before this call, Jake did tell me, he was like, I have not watched any sporting events in the past 6 months aside from the national championship. That means that you are absolutely dialed in on the growth of Soarbar, which is something to be commendable about.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, I don't know. I always feel like the time is better spent, whether it's work on the business or just like getting in a lift. Even back in college, a lot of times I did that. Um, for a bit, I was claiming that it was more of a good luck thing. Like they've been doing well without me watching, so I don't want to jinx it. But the natty, I was like, there's no way I'm that important. I want to watch this. And so I sat down and watched it, and the boys came out on top. So
Yeah.
worked
Even
out
though
well. I
they
got
had
to watch a
like,
game.
they could not make a three.
I thought that was my fault.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it was
Yeah,
your fault, but even they were
it
that
probably
good to
was.
where it didn't make a difference.
It didn't matter. Yeah, yeah. The defensive masterpiece was fun to watch. Whole lot of blocks.
For sure. Jake, correct me if I'm wrong. You're an econ or Ross guy, so you've always been about around business. You worked in the corporate world for a little bit. Were dabbling in potentially doing something entrepreneurially, but then you were like, once you hit enough traction and growth, and you realize, okay, if I really want to be great at something, I need to go in here full time, which is when you went all in on Soar Bars. And so I know you have a business mind, and I'm curious to hear how you're going to answer this question. I ask this to every one of our guests because I want to see how your gears turn. And if I were to give you 50K right now, no sweat bet, okay, 50K, I don't want any stake in anything. How are you going to turn that into $1 million?
Sure, it's a great question. I mean, the short answer is I'm going to invest it right into SOAR because that's where I'm spending my time. And, we've already raised money for it. We've got plenty in the tank, but an extra 50K, I know we could definitely put a lot more gas into a few initiatives we have going on. Although I want to quickly back up, I wasn't just like your econ or Ross guy back in the day. It's a little bit of a mouthful, but I was actually a PPE major, so philosophy, politics, and economics. I had a concentration in capital markets and then a minor in Ross. And so, yeah, I took that and worked in banking for like a year and change and then jumped to SOAR. Although I'll also caveat and say, I jumped before we had traction. Like I jumped at a point where I think a lot of people wouldn't have, but I set up my entire life to do it. So for me, it made sense. But to the outside world, I had a lot of, my parents took a lot of convincing. And then, my friends and the parents of my friends were all confused by it. But for me, it made a lot of sense.
Yeah, with that long-winded major minor nerd, but that's the classic Michigan pipeline. And yes, I was talking with you back for almost the past year now. That's kind of when we got connected, and I remember that you were kind of half in and half out. And the only advice that I really can ever give someone that is on the half in, half out is like, look, I know that you created something that is a great product, and I know that it's going to be something that is great. You just need to give it the time, or else it's going to take longer to get there. And of course, there's convincing that it's needed because it's way off the beaten path. The parents who sent you to Michigan to get you a great degree, and you go out and you get a great internships over the summer, and then you get a great job, and then you're like, Mom and Dad, I want to leave. Well, why would you want to leave? There's no point in the education I just gave you, or in this job that you just got. Wrong. Wrong. I mean, I guess the sunk cost fallacy, if we want to talk a little bit about econ, but um, I'm really happy that you were able to jump ship just before the traction, because it really was, you're able to show not just yourself, but the world and the universe that I'm into this. I really believe that this is going to work. And when you burn those boats, crazy things happen.
Thank you. Yeah, It's funny, there's a million different philosophies and things that went through my mind as I was in the process of working the job and, running a store on the side. When I first started, I was still running my first business as well at the same time, but I killed that after about 4 months because 3 things was way too much. But I think a fun one that I really stuck to a lot was a Hormozy idea, like Alex Hormozy, and the idea is being a wantrepreneur. And I always knew I wanted to give this a go, and I didn't want to be someone who just talked about it and never did it. So even at my job, the first day, or maybe it was definitely the first week, when we were setting up our passwords, I put in the password, part of my password was the date that I had to leave by. And it was like, I have to make the jump by this point. And because of that, and a whole lot more things that set up in my life, it was very clear to me, like, okay, you said you're gonna do it, man up, do it, take the jump. I mean, I ended up beating that date by like a month or two, but originally I thought I was gonna beat it by like 6 months. It took a long time to make the bar, but the entire time, every day I logged in, that was in the back of my mind.
I love that you were able to stay conscious of that. It's like that's a greatness type of little mantra that you can embed into your story there. I've never really heard of that, but the fact that you were already committed to doing that, you were already pushing forward towards where you're at right now. I think that that's sometimes you hear people and they're like, I just want to give it a year. I'm going to give it a full year in the corporate world, and then I'll really see if this is something that works for me. And if it's not, then maybe I can make a call then. But this term entrepreneur is so interesting because you you never really hear it, and you're a gym guy, right? Like, you don't go out and talk about how often you go to the gym and what you're doing and how strong you are, whatever. Like, the people that aren't actually doing the thing love talking about it more than they actually be about it. And I think that that's you see that a lot in people who have achieved a lot versus people that want to achieve a lot. The want and the wantrepreneur, they almost need to satisfy their own ego to the point where they need to convince themselves by convincing others that, hey, I'm doing this. Hey, I ran today. Hey, I worked out like this today. Hey, let me post about this. Why are you doing this then? Are you doing this so this can be the identity that others see you as because you don't see yourself as that yet? And I'm happy that you always knew that you were the entrepreneur, never the wantrepreneur.
I always knew it myself, but I had to prove it by actually doing it, right? Take the step. And I mean, it's proven that you get dopamine from telling people what you're doing, right? You tell people you worked out, you post on social media that you worked out, you tell people you're going to go start this business and you're doing all these things. Like there is a scientific reason why it feels good and why people do it. But and again, this isn't my quote, but the only thing that's doing the thing is actually doing the thing, right? So I mean, stepping up to the plate and really giving it a shot I knew I had to do for myself, and I also knew my backup plan was everyone else's plan A, right? Like if I fail, I'm gonna fail forward. Like there's a million other things I could do, and yes, I wouldn't say I burned boats, but I put myself in a corner on purpose because I think there's an advantage to being in a corner.
Yeah, that's amazing. Unbelievable. You get to see where the magic happens there, creating your own pressure, your own environment, which is great. And so, Jake, I am curious. You're someone that has always gone to the gym. You're someone that has, you take PPE, right? Which is funny because I was a poli sci major. My co-founder is an econ major, and you're like, I'm going to do all of that and some, and the minor, and you check off all these boxes. You're doing all these amazing things at school. What do you do though on the daily? Not just something that you've done over the past year or 2 years, but like what is something about your routine that is different from the rest? How do you get at it?
Yeah, I love that, by the way. And also, when we first met, I remember specifically saying this. I had the idea for what you built with Addit and never did it. And so, speaking about going and doing it, I think in my first message to you, I applauded you for actually taking the shot because I loved the concept, and I'm definitely a big like get at it fan. I'm an Addit fan.
Let's go.
I think the way I do things different, and I actually kept a journal over the course of my entire time at JPM and running a store in the background. And I kind of stopped doing it now. I'd love to get back to it, but there's this idea called eat the frog, right? And it's like do the hardest thing you have to do first thing in the morning, and that way everything else is easier. And so nowadays for me, that's an ice bath. And so I have a cold plunge outside, hop it in the morning, beautiful reset, and then I get my carbs in, go to the gym and start my day. When I was back at JP, there wasn't quite the time for that. but on the train into the city. And so I've been commuting from home, saving money, living at home. That was always a part of the game plan. That's why I didn't move in. That's why I brought lunch every day, just saving money for this phase of my life. But I drank a carton of egg whites every morning on the train. And it was definitely for the health purposes, right? Like I wanted to get my protein in. It's like great for that. But it was disgusting. And I knew it was disgusting. And I definitely had people looking at me on the train being like, that's gross. So I kind of try to hide it a little bit. But for me, I was like, this sucks. And this is a great way to start the day because all the other crap I have to go through is comparatively a whole lot easier. And if I go through the journal, I took a photo of the egg whites every single day. And so you could scroll through and see all these cases of egg whites that I pounded, all of them from Costco. I just go every Sunday and reset my inventory.
Wow.
But yeah, I think just do hard things. Yeah.
I'm very much in that school of thought, and I really do see a correlation between the good days being those that begin with the hardest thing that you do. Back in college, right outside of our on the outside of our house, we had a cold plunge. It wasn't one of those high tech ones. It was like literally just the inflatable one that you just put out there.
Same.
Yeah, right. And because you're in Michigan, it's freaking cold. It's not just cold; it's freezing cold, and outside is freezing cold. But the ability to go out there and push yourself to just go do that hard thing right away, the cold shock. I mean, people, it's kind of been almost slandered nowadays, like the Sigma male, go do the cold shower. I don't need to shock my body like that. I think everyone's a little bit different in all their ways, but the cold shock right away, nobody wants to do that. The first thing you want to do in the morning is be nice and cold and nice and cozy and warm and in your blankets. But if you're able to go out there and push yourself, you get in the cold plunge. Now walking to the gym and getting in an hour lift is nothing. Right? Like now when you're tasked with a little bit of adversity at 2 p.m., it's not even it doesn't even hold a candle to what you did at 8:45 a.m. So I love how you're able to begin the day with the hardest thing, and then move into the other things that are gonna enter your way, and it's just not even gonna phase you.
Yeah. And I think you do the same thing. I was going to say at Michigan, we kind of borrowed slash stole slash we gave it back, but we were using this cold plunge outside. We had a brick next to it just to break that top layer of ice that always came in
Yep.
at Michigan. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there was a Goggins quote literally going through my mind as you were talking through that, and it's just like yeah. I mean, I don't know, just like do hard stuff, right? Oh, actually, here it is. Like life is pain. I know that's a really tough take, but life is really difficult. And so it's either difficult because you let it attack you and be difficult, or you make it difficult for yourself and you kind of get to choose the difficulty. So for me, like, yeah, the cold plunge, the egg whites, that's difficult, but it allows me to kind of set the difficulty myself. And I like that control. Obviously, I like being in control. That's why I stepped out of a bureaucratic company and started my own. But yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you more. And I think you come from the same place, just having
Yeah.
done the same thing in Michigan.
I definitely subscribe to grabbing the bull by the horns, really grabbing the reins of your life rather than kind of being thrown into a system where you don't necessarily know who's in the driver's seat. If you put yourself in the driver's seat, you have a lot of autonomy on who you're with, what you're saying, what you do, and how you feel. But if you're not aware that you can have that control and you don't have the discipline, we talked about this last night at dinner. If you don't have the discipline with that awareness to then give yourself that control by giving yourself that pain, right? The path to heaven is by putting yourself through hell, right? The path to hell is by living a life that's constantly through easy dopamine and not really going on pushing yourself through that, right? If you don't choose your hard pause, then you are going to live a life that is just gonna kind of chew you up and spit you out, which is why doing something that is eating the frog, proverbially, is the number one way to make sure that that day is going to be something that you can dominate. I mean, for me, sometimes I'll push my co-founder Alec through this, and we'll do a 5 minute plank. We used to do it in Ross Gym. We'd do it pretty much every single time we'd go. Right after we'd stretch, right before we get into it, and it's not even for the core benefit. I mean, you're using your shoulders there for the last 3 minutes of it. It is entirely a mental exercise, and you feel like you just release all of your endorphins, whatever hormone regulators. I'm not a science guy, but I know I feel way better after that than I did before that.
Yeah. No, yeah, absolutely, right? At that point, it's not endurance, it's a mental endurance thing. It is endurance, just a mental endurance. That's That's awesome. I don't remember the last time I tried a 5-minute plank. That's not my forte,
No,
but
no.
I applaud you on doing it. And if you're working out in Ross Gym, you might have seen the ads we had for my first business in there. We had an ad at the front desk there for, I think the second half of our senior year.
I definitely saw it. I was I'd always go in there. I use that foam roller. There's nobody that has used that foam roller more than myself and Alec. We go in there and we'd roll on that thing, and people are like, "Why are these guys rolling out for 15 minutes?" I'm like, "Deep tissue, baby. Got to make sure
Yeah.
your body's feeling real good."
I'm a 50-year-old man inside. I need to roll out.
Exactly, exactly. So, I'm curious a little bit because you clearly are guided by doing hard things, right? I don't know how deep you think. I know you're a guy that has kept a journal. You probably have a lot of individual moments of thinking. I know you and Jason, he's not living at your home right now. So that's something that you definitely have to be alone with. And when you're alone, you kind of have to figure out what that voice in your head is, and you have to find yourself that level of purpose. And so I'm curious, over this course of this entrepreneurial journey and also just your life, where you're at right now and where you're going, what would you say guides your soul?
Yeah, it's a good question. And also, I got to apologize. I don't know if you could hear the dog barking in the background, but
Oh,
that's
I
one of the
can't hear
fun
the
parts of
dog.
living at home.
Only
You
dog
can't?
I can hear is the dog from inside of you and myself because
Wow,
yeah,
dude, you always get me pumped up. But that's good to hear that you can't hear it because I thought it was just going wild. What guides my soul? That's the question.
that is the question.
That's the question. What guides my soul? I What guides anybody's soul?
Well, what guides
I don't
mine
know.
might be different from yours.
Yeah, no, it's fair. I mean, like when I think about at least guiding like what I do on a day-to-day basis, right? Because you stack days, they become weeks, they become months, they become years, and then you look back and you're in an entirely different place. I guess this might be not be the answer you're looking for, but the way I think about like how do I guide my life and my trajectory is I like to go on sprints and generally be like a quarter, right? So like for 3 months, I'll lock in on a goal and attack it. And then after 3 months of being in the weeds, I'll pick my head up, I'll look around and I'll say, okay, what direction did I go in there? Is it the one I wanted to go in? If not, how can we pivot? Or maybe as I've walked forward, I've learned new things and maybe there's a better direction to be pivoting towards. And so I kind of just like to evaluate at intervals, but make sure I'm not evaluating on a day to day basis. Cause if you don't just drive forward and paddle, you're going to go nowhere, right? Like you can't steer a boat if you don't paddle. So I don't know if that's quite my soul, but I think that's how I guide my life is just hustle and then look up and make sure you're going the right way.
Yeah, that's absolutely a sufficient answer. I think it was a Paulo Coelho quote who wrote The Alchemist, and he talked about how in order
Favorite
to
book.
great
Love it.
book. Actually, just
Great book.
ordered that book. It's downstairs in the package room. Tried to get it yesterday for my co-founder because it is it's a necessity for anyone that is listening to this. Stop what you're doing and order this book. It's not a long book. It's a narrative. It's a story, and it's about the soul, and it's about purpose, and it's about doing what you need to do, listening to the universe in order to actually achieve what you want. But that's something, but my point of that was that there is this quote where instead of just running aimlessly in in any direction, it's kind of like almost ruminate in a circle, right? Evaluate the certain decisions you can make at that point in time. And once you've made that right decision where you are at after that 3-month sprint, move forward there with velocity and move forward there. There is no correct decision. There's not a A, B, C, and D multiple choice and C is the right answer. There's never anything like that. Life is not some multiple choice question. It's closer towards a long answer question where it's up for interpretation into how you see it and how I see it and what is going to guide you through the day and what's going to guide me through the day. So I really like that idea because you're able to be efficient in your day to day in those sprints. And I feel that I can subscribe to that as well. I mean, we're in Miami right now for what you would call a sprint. It's a February 1st to May 1st. We're here on the, last leg and it's been fantastic. But what are we going to do after May 1st? Everybody asks. Well, I'll put my head up, I'll look around, I'll see what we've done, and I'll see where we'll go next.
Yeah. I think it's a great way to do it. It's because you get nowhere if you don't do that. So no, I think that's awesome. And Miami's it's a good place to do it as long as you can stay focused because there's whole lot of distraction there. A big thing for me is I've isolated myself entirely. Like I'm living in Westchester at my parents' house. There is no social distraction. It's like, I mean, it is truly a work 7 days a week. Um, Whenever I go into the city, it's for like a founder dinner or a networking event, and then I will tie in a bunch of coffees with that, right? So like I'll go to the old workplace, I'll go meet with other people. Like I was just at David HQ last time I went in, spoke to a few friends there. Went over to the old JP Morgan building, had like 8 coffees back to back, so it was very caffeinated for the dinner I had after. But yeah, as long as yeah,
Yeah,
as long
I
as you
love
could
coffee.
dial in wherever you are.
How
Yeah.
do you take your coffee?
I do it black and I don't do it often. I prefer using caffeine as just like fuel when I need it. So I'd say maybe have it once a week, and then for something like that, I'll have just a boatload of it at one time. Although I'll try to do a few decaf just to
Yeah.
help myself out a little bit.
Level it out a little bit. Yeah, I don't
How do you
have
take
it
it?
once a day. I'll take it anyway, probably black, pause there, but I honestly whenever my girlfriend's making it, she'll definitely put some sugary and milk in there, and I won't, I'll oblige. I'll drink that.
Yeah, it kind of tastes good.
No, it
I can
tastes
enjoy it.
great. It tastes better,
Yeah,
but I don't know, I feel like if I'm making that drink myself and it's just me, like, I can't put any of that other shit in there. I gotta drink it like a man, right? How am I gonna get
yeah,
hair on my chest unless I don't
yeah,
drink it like a man?
yeah. And I don't know, maybe it's like a calories thing too, right? Like I'd rather spend the sugar elsewhere,
Yeah.
something like that.
And you won't even spend it on a Soarbar. There's like 5 grams of sugar in there.
No, there's 1 gram of sugar and no added sugar.
Yeah, see, and clip. Boom.
Flip, done.
Alright, so I am curious here. We have about 15 more minutes, okay? But I wanna hear a little bit about the Soarbar experience, why you built that, and not just the Soarbar thing, but it's I know that you were a guy that created create that, is obviously digesting creatine, and whoever for anyone that has done that, no one likes to dry scoop this garbage white powder. I mean, I've dabbled with it, but I've honestly never really like stayed consistent with it just because it's kind of just it's kind of inconvenient. So, give me a little context.
Yeah, happy to. I mean, on creatine powder itself, right? It's been around for 30 years. The benefits are tried, tested, and proven, but it's been this intimidating, you know, drug-esque white powder that chalky, not good, really turned a lot of people off. And then called 5 years ago, creatine gummies came out and they made it more convenient, they made it more tasty, and they started marketing it towards the broader population. And then now you see this pickup. And then as far as SOAR goes, it was my co-founder's idea. He had it back in 2022, but it didn't quite go anywhere. And then he told me about it in 24, our senior year of college. We were actually in Singapore at the time. And when I first heard it, I loved it because it felt like a very clear white space. Like gummies had come out, they were doing great, but I didn't believe it was the right delivery vehicle, right? There's a lot of ingredient concerns there. It's a bunch of sugar. And at the end of the day, it's a big bag of gummies sitting on your counter. And so when I thought about this new improved delivery vehicle being a protein bar where it's tasty, it's even more convenient because you can grab and go. And then it also has additional functional value, right? 20 grams of protein, 7 grams of fiber. I really liked that angle. So loved the product. Thought there was a clear white space. I thought I had really good founder market fit. Like I know my strengths and also I know my interests. And in my free time, like if I'm scrolling reels, whatever, blowing time off and doing nothing. The reels I'm scrolling through, it's an identical feed as my, SOAR Instagram page because I'm looking at all the same stuff. It's like bodybuilding, it's fitness, it's like that fits really important because I think I had a clear understanding of the market. And then because I'd been taking it for so many years, I just felt like I could speak to it very genuinely, which is really important. And I liked my co-founder. Obviously, Jason. I think he's an incredibly sharp guy, and so it felt like a easy decision, even though I was going into a full-time job and still had my first company, which I was running. I decided to take on the third, and I'm grateful I did.
Yeah, this term founder market fit I haven't heard before, but and the example that you use here with the reels and the algorithm that is feeded to your company's page when you're on there as well as your personal page, that is really important, right? Because if you're not organically in the game like you are with creatine protein bars where you're seeing these fitness influencers who you would follow but also would also work with, right? And that's something that I wasn't in that position, right? I'm not in some feeds of I'm not my personal was on golf and it wasn't on consumer packaged goods or on advertising or market research or anything about earning money online. So that was a muscle that I really had to train, right? Like it's like I haven't been working out my legs. And so now I need to make legs my number one
Who,
priority.
who works out legs? Come on.
Yeah. Clearly you don't with a neck that big, but I absolutely can understand that the fit that you have for your product, it's only gonna make it easier, right? Because it's not about how much can you create here in the next 3 months, right? The way in which you go about your sprints. How much can you really get done in the next 3 years? If you give yourself the space with the right people, are you gonna get burnt out? Are you gonna be focused on the product? Are you gonna learn more about it? I mean, I didn't know anything about advertising. And then 3 years ago, senior year of high school and of college, I'm now thinking about every single ad that's on the TV. I'm now like, is that a good one or is that a bad one? It's just elementary stuff, you know? Like, I'm not trying to say I know the answers, but you definitely have to train that muscle. And the fact that you were able to do that organically is a massive advantage.
It was incredibly, and I will say, so just firstly on ads, I just killed my premium music subscription because I actually enjoy listening to the ads now because it's like I'm learning, okay, how are these people advertising? What are they doing? Are they really profitable here? I love thinking about that stuff during, like, watching TV, or like I think maybe my like HBO or something. Like I get to my little sister's college, so it's got ads. Like enjoy watching the ads. So I just wanted to say, like, I've found new interest through the business. But then, yeah, as far as like the founder market fit, everyone talks about product market fit. I feel like founder market fit's really important. For me, when I hop onto a call, whether it's with an investor or a potential partner, or we're at a pop up, we're just talking about the business, I'm extremely comfortable jumping from topic to topic, whether we're talking, food science, like unit economics behind the business, the marketing angles we're tackling, like whatever it may be, because there's so many facets to the business. I've just kind of ingrained myself in all of them because I personally find them interesting. So yeah, like my free time is still advantageous to my business learnings, which I think is just a bonus.
It's a total bonus. And you are a freaking psychopath to consciously remove your premium subscription for the sole fact that you like the ads. You want to
Well,
break from the
okay.
ads?
Okay. So I don't want to break from the ads. Okay. Okay. So I originally removed it because we were paying for Instagram verified through my card and I wanted to transition it to the business, but I had no way to separate it. So I was like, okay, let me add the business card there. And then so I'm not charging my premium music service to the business card, I'll just kill it. And then as a byproduct, I started getting the ads. And I was like, okay, instead of solving this, I actually like it. So I'm going to keep it. So I did not have the foresight to realize I was going to like it, but I've
Sure.
now not changed it because I'm enjoying it. So I got to
Yeah.
throw that out there. I did not, it wasn't an initial conscious decision. It just kind of worked out nicely.
Yeah. This just in Jake Sadow is only kind of a psychopath.
Just yeah, just like just a tad.
Well, everyone's gotta have that little extra edge that they give themselves, and I think that you really see it in the founder entrepreneurial world, and that's my favorite thing, right? 17th episode of Let's Get At It. Not one person is the same. You might have someone that's even keel, you might have someone that's bouncing off the walls, you might have someone that's over here, it's over there, he goes over there. Like, it's just crazy to see the differences that people are able to become when they give themselves the space and the new industry to jump into and they're able to formulate their identity around what they're building. So I think that's awesome. I think that really allows your mind to run in a place that's like a wide open field rather than like a confined box. Pervert this may be an allegory to the corporate world versus the startup world. But I want to shift gears here for the last question. It's my favorite question. And I don't know if you know this question yet, but it is absolutely vital towards my startup career. Who is the GOAT of basketball?
This is the goat of basketball. So this is I feel like people are probably giving you like curveballs before and like said something other than like MJ or LeBron.
Yes, people are like, Alex Hormozy's the GOAT, and I'm like, yeah, I think that's a good answer.
Wait, we're talking go to basketball right now, right?
We are, but I've said GOAT, but I want to guide you a little bit. If you have the GOAT of something that you're passionate about, you tell me.
No, no, I'll tell you right now. I'll answer the question. I think I got to give it to LeBron. And the reason I'm going to give it to LeBron is because he's won America, right? Like, come on, like Olympics was fun to watch. But no, in all seriousness, like longevity, right? The ability to do something consistently for such a long time and do it at such a high level, that's the goat.
Yeah. Yeah. That's,
What do you think?
well, so in this moment of thinking, I always ask myself as the podcast host, how civil do I wanna be, right? Do I wanna do I wanna probe and do I wanna be more curious, or do I wanna, take the floor and I wanna really make sure that you hear my opinion? But what I will say is that
Get at it. Get at it.
I'm going to get at it. I do
Yeah.
respect everyone's definition of greatness, right? If you believe that you want to do something for the longest period of time and that is the indicator for greatness, great. And I think LeBron is an awesome example of that. I personally subscribe to Michael Jordan as the GOAT of basketball. And I don't really want to talk about anything else besides character, right? Like if I look at both of those individuals, both of those time periods, I would like to emulate. I would like to embody somebody like Michael Jordan a little bit more than LeBron James, right? Some Michael Jordan can get punched in the face, and his response is going to be, "I'm going to get up and I'm going to go show them. I'm going to get stronger," rather than "I'm going to try and sell this. I want to, LeBron James is the biggest specimen, maybe the best athletic specimen to ever grace this planet. There's an argument for that, but he doesn't play like that. He plays like someone that is a little bit smaller, maybe a little bit more tactical in that regard. He's a guy that wants to pass first in a situation like my goat is someone that is, last second shot. Who's taking the shot, right? Me, Michael Jordan is, right? Like that is what I think greatness is. It's the guy that he's not about himself, he's about winning for the team, and he knows that I put my best effort forth. I try my hardest every single day. I have a focus that nobody else can get to, and so I trust myself and so do my teammates. But look, that's my
Although
philosophy.
it's fair. I will say LeBron, like everyone says, LeBron makes the people around him better, right? Just by being on the court, you look at the statistics, it makes people better. When I was first speaking to the longevity, it's almost also that question of like, would you rather be a candle that burns really bright and dies fast or burns slow and lasts long? I think he's had success over quite a long period where he's found this like weird niche where he's burning bright and lasting long. And then as far as his game, like, yes, I'm not a fan of the flopping and the, arguing with the refs and all that stuff. But as far as like a pass first versus, go be the main athlete versus use your head, to me, that's just adaptability. And if we're going to take it just like, I don't know if I can extrapolate here, but just broadening it out a little bit. Like in the world we're in today, like you got to be adaptable, right? Like I don't know if you saw the new model that Claude is coming out with, but it's apparently ridiculous. It like hacked Amazon. It's like they've released it only to these top companies to say, hey, you need to fix your backends because we're going to release this thing. It's going to cost $20 a month and it's going to change the world. Like I found out about that. And for the past 48 hours, I've been like doing really, really deep dives on what parts of my life and system can I automate with Claude because I know it's only going to get really, it's going to get better a lot faster. And like right now, my day to day is so different that there's no repetitive tasks that are easy to like automate. But I am making a conscious effort now to find like what can I improve? How can I adapt my game to be the best founder I could be in this new world, which everyone knows is coming, but nobody realizes how fast it's coming because one day it's just like going to be here.
It's it's funny because your argument is aligned with how I would describe Jordan's, but you look at LeBron as the example there. When you say adaptability, I would think that adapting is s- trusting your environment, right, and staying within there to then make sure that you can make it the best it could possibly be, right? It's not needing to go into different companies in order to make sure that what you're doing is going to work. But you're going to stay in SOAR. You're going to build SOAR to be big, right? And the light that's going to shine is going to be very bright. But I mean, my thought process is, the candles are both the same. You can say whichever burns the fastest and the brightest and the longest and the hardest, like that is the candle's burned. Do we want to really extend that? What's the purpose of the candle burning? It's just to burn, or is it to win? Is the candle to illuminate the whole room, or is it just so that it could flicker, and illuminate part of the room? My thoughts are Michael Jordan's illumination was so big and so vast it reached around the globe, right? It made the NBA, a 215 country sport. And I think that you are a Jordan guy. Like, I think that the adaptability that you take and the greatness mindset that you attack the day with and how you go about it, your tenacity is more aligned with that. And it's something that I will give it to you. I'll let you say LeBron, but I will just say, you might just be a Jordan guy deep down and you might not know it.
I'll say anybody who knows me knows like I've played sports all my life, but I have not watched them all my life. And so I imagine I'm one of the less educated on the LeBron MJ debate out of all the people you've spoken with. So maybe I am. Maybe I am, and I'm just misinformed. But you know the way that I think about it, and so
Yeah.
if you think it's more applicable to Jordan, then maybe it is.
The game theory that I have is you can have the GOAT and who and what you embody, right? Who is the GOAT, MJ or LeBron? But then what do you embody? Are you a Jordan guy or a LeBron guy? And for me, I think Jordan guys, they say, I don't care what the situation is around me. I'm going to make sure that I can take what's there and make it the best, and I'm going to go win. And the other one is I can try my hardest and I will rationalize anything that did not go my way, because it wasn't out of my power. But you do that. You wake up and you say, I'm going to get in the cold plunge because I'm going to take control. I'm going to take the reins. I'm going to make sure I push myself harder so that in the long run, I know that nobody else is going to drive the ship faster than me, which is, look, I respect the shit out of you, Jake. I think that you guys have built something incredible. Haven't even tried a Soarbar yet, which I will very soon.
You
And,
need to. I'll
and
send you a box.
yeah, send me a box. Send me a box. I'd love it.
I want to give a quick shout out to Kobe and Jalen Brunson. Firstly, to Jalen Brunson because we're trying to get him some sore bars, and we're in the right position to get him some.
Wait, Jalen Brunson went to my high school.
Yes, Jason
And
told me that.
Jason's high school, yeah.
He lives right down the road from me, and so
Yeah,
we got sore bar stocked in his go-to like specialty pharmacy, whatever you want to call it, like where he like shops for fruits and vegetables.
that's amazing. You
Yeah,
got to let him know. I mean, his wife's also a Stevenson native. Just let him get Jason over there and be like, hey, go Pats.
yeah. No, we got. I talked to all the cashiers there, so when he comes through next time, they're gonna point towards sore bars.
I
And we
saw
got
that
him
video. It's the video. It's like a nice, like almost farmer's market, ma and pa looking. Yeah,
right there. Yeah, yeah.
cool.
That was a big win for the hometown folks because I wanted to get it there for all the people in New Rochelle with me who wanted to give it a try.
Yeah, Jordan, LeBron, fuck it. Jalen Brunson.
Jalen Bronson, dude, he's the man. He's the man, and I love that mindset too. Just like work hard.
Yeah, just work hard. That's it. I love it.
Yeah, you might
Kobe,
not be gifted, you might not have like the top advantage out there, but if you put in the work, it could
you'll get
go.
there.
Yeah,
Jake, this was awesome. It flew by. I love speaking to you. I'll be getting some Soar bars in me, and I'm sure anyone that's listening, if they want to get some creatine and protein in their body simultaneously, you go out and you go buy a Soar bar. And yeah, this is only going to be bigger and better. It's going to be exciting looking back on this whenever I do and look at where we were at and where we have come. Pause. Jake, this was absolutely incredible.
yeah. It's nice to end the pod with I think the third or fourth pause. It's good. We're keeping
I always
ourselves.
pause.
Yeah,
You need the
no, it's
pause.
fair. It's fair. But yeah, sorebars.com. Hopefully it is a much bigger website by the time we're looking back on this. But after a month of being in business, I can't complain with where we're at now, and I'm excited for the future.
Mazel tov.
Thanks, Drew. Great chatting.
See ya.
Take care.